There's a reason so many of us keep returning to games like Minecraft. Something about starting from nothing, punching trees, crafting tools, building shelter feels right. It's simple, it's comforting, and it stretches an ancient itch. But then some of us find something like vintage story, and suddenly survival feels heavier, slower, and strangely more meaningful. But why is the important question we must ask. What drags us into this constant pursuit of teleology? Humans love progression and domination. We're wired to chase it. Every bar that fills up, every level up, every finished structure lights up the same dopamine circuits that evolution designed to reward survival. Simply put, Minecraft is built around this. Instant gratification and tidy, predictable loops. You do something and the world responds. You see the result, you feel capable. Through countless experiences you have contoured, phases is most likely a better term. You follow the same linear path of progression, building a civilization whether for yourself or others. That's the illusion of progress. It's not real growth, but it feels real, and our brains don't know the difference. Minecraft gives us something we rarely have in real life: control. A controllable universe. Every action has a clear consequence, every block stays where you place it, every problem has a solution you can look up. It's the ultimate sandbox of certainty, a place where your will actually matters. But in the real world, things aren't so simple. We like to believe we have full command over our thoughts, choices, and bodies, that we're the authors of every action we take. That belief is what philosophers call the illusion of free will. Our consciousness constantly tells a story that we are in charge, that we decide what to want, when to act, and most importantly, what to feel. But neuroscience and philosophy both suggest otherwise. Most of what drives us, our impulses, emotions, even our decisions, arises before we're even aware of them. As the philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer wrote, man can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills. Centuries later, neuroscientist Sam Harris echoed the same truth. You can do what you decide to do, but you cannot decide what you will decide to do. We don't choose our desires, we simply discover them. Yet the brain, in its need for order, edits the story after the fact, convincing us that we were steering the whole time. That's why games like Minecraft feel so good. They hand that story back to us. Here, you really do control everything. You decide what happens, and the world must obey. It's the perfect illusion of free will, made comforting, tangible, and safe. A perfect simulation of a world that finally listens. Then you play Vintage Story, and suddenly you're not in control anymore. Your food rots, your animals starve, your leather takes weeks to cure. Winter doesn't care if you're ready or not. And yet, that is exactly why it feels so real. When progress demands patience, endurance, and time, our brains stop treating it like some toy. We begin to believe in it. Each act of survival becomes a story of resistance. And maybe that's the real reason these games actually captivate us. They awaken something primal, a memory buried in our DNA, the need to provide, to build, to survive for ourselves, but also others. In real life, most of us don't hunt or craft or grow food anymore. In real life, most of us are in such a state where meaning derives solely from work, sex, and simply social status. So we must simulate it in pixels and worlds we can control, in realities where we are God, because it lets us fulfill an ancient script, the story of the self-sufficient human. Philosophers like Spinoza and Schopenhauer uh, argued that free will is an illusion, that we don't really choose what we want, we simply act out what's been determined by countless causes before us. Games like Minecraft and Vintage Story offer a playground where that illusion finally works in our favor. For once the world does bend to our will, or at least it feels like it does. Every harvest, every crafted tool, every brick laid becomes a moment where cause and effect align perfectly with intention. But Vintage Story adds a twist. It makes that illusion harder to earn. You suffer for it, and in that struggle, your agency feels earned. You become not a god, but simply a survivor, not omnipotent, but enduring. Minecraft offers comfort, a soft creative freedom where failure barely exists. Vintage Story offers authenticity, a fragile, uncertain freedom where every mistake leaves a scar. One makes you feel powerful, and the other makes you feel alive. And maybe that's why it resonates so deeply. Uh, in a world where real struggle is often abstract, simulated struggle gives back a sense of purpose. Beneath every block we place, every tool we forge, every field we harvest, there's something older than the game itself. Something ancient, something archaic. It's the part of us that remembers what it meant to struggle, to hunt, to build, to feed. The archaic self, the version of humanity that existed long before civilization, before comfort, and most importantly, before abundance. That self still lives inside of us. It doesn't care about pixels or polygons, it only understands survival. And when we play games like Vintage Story, that self wakes up. For hours, we stop being spectators of modern life. We become participants again, shaping the world, providing for ourselves, earning warmth and safety the hard way. In real life, most of our needs are outsourced, our food grown elsewhere, our homes built by others, our tools manufactured far away, so the archaic self has really no other choice but to sleep, restless and simply unfilled. But when we struggle through simulated winters, when we preserve meat, weave clothes, or nurse a newborn animal, we give that self what it's been craving: purpose. The satisfaction we feel isn't nostalgia for a game, it's nostalgia for a way of being, a time when existence itself was the reward. Every time we simulate this endless cycle of struggle and survival, we open this cage hidden deep within ourselves. That's why Vintage Story feels sacred in its own quiet way. It doesn't just simulate survival, it lets us meet the part of ourselves that was built to survive. The irony is, it's still an illusion. No matter what, every plant, every animal, every season in Vintage Story is scripted, determined, and predictable. Uh, hold C and you can see what month you're in, what time it is, right? All this stuff, in the end, you're still just executing code. But the illusion works because it mirrors life closely enough to trick the soul. You endure, you adapt, and you survive. And in doing so, you find what philosophers might call authentic meaning within an illusory world. Maybe that's all free will ever was. Not freedom from the code, but freedom inside it. We build in these worlds because they let us remember what it feels like to create, to struggle, and to be real. Minecraft gives us control, Vintage Story gives us consequence, and both in their own ways remind us why we keep coming back. Not to escape reality, but to feel again through illusion. This is off script. I simply wanted to apologize. I don't think this is a very good piece, and my editing skills are pretty below par when it comes to the expectations that and the bar standard that's been set on YouTube. I simply wanted to sort of portray a new perspective, since obviously I'm not a early adapter or a trendsetter when it comes to vintage story. I'm sure you're aware of the countless videos if this happens to cross your path or interest. I simply wanted to maybe give a more philosophical perspective on these two video games that I often don't hear too much. Often a truth that I think scientifically or clinically we may believe, but I think day to day the average man does not truly understand the concept of free will. We often feed ourselves this thought, whether it's from ego or simply conscious biological purpose of pretending like we are in control of ourselves and control of our lives. And so I hope this maybe enlightens somebody, maybe inspires them to ask a few more questions, just, you know, on things like video games, something that so many people are passionate about. So thank you again for watching, and who knows, maybe I'll make another piece like this.